3, 2, 1. Shabam.
Shabam.
Jesus Christ.
Wow.
That's like 6 seconds.
Good. Oh, good.
Can we try it one more time
good.
just in case
All right.
Matt, missed it or something?
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Shabam.
Shabam.
No.
Oh, it's really bad.
Your timing is actually a bit good if you were doing shaboom, shaboom, na 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 na.
Hello, and welcome to Book Club no Kiseki. I am Sam Allman.
I am David Bernard Houck.
I'm Matt Jorgensen.
In the segment of Falcom's Kiseki series we're playing today is Chapter 2 of The Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky, entitled The Madrigal of White Magnolia. But before we get started, what's been cooking good looking?
What's been cooking is eggs, because I am eating keto, and I've been doing it for 2 weeks, and I feel fantastic, and I love it, and I'm still doing the intermittent fasting, and I love it, and you don't have to lose weight. If you're happy and healthy at your weight, that is fantastic. I am not happy and healthy at my weight. I need to lose weight for medical reasons.
Hell yeah.
And also, I haven't been thin in my adult life. I think it'd be fun to try.
Nice. I was thin for my wedding, and then I got married, and getting married is the easiest way to get real fat, because
The hardest of
food is real good.
Probably made finding a tux easier.
Yes. What about you, Matt? What's been cooking over with you?
Oh, boy. Well, I got stabbed. Part 1 of 2. They did not warn me. Well, okay. I kind of understand how the accident would happen. Everyone at that site was prepared for Johnson & Johnson. And then the day before, they're like, we can't give you that. Would you like Pfizer instead? I'm like, The internet says this won't kill me, so sure, let's do it. Because I have allergies. The internet was wrong. So,
Whoops.
I got my injection, and they said, okay, 15 minutes. And I wait there, I'm like, well, other than kinda itchy, I'm okay. Kinda itchy was a warning that I should have taken. And
You're not supposed to be kind of itchy.
I was not supposed to be kind of itchy. So several hours later, I went to the hospital to get that dealt with. They're like, maybe next time you should tell somebody that you're kind of itchy. And I said, because that was the quality of sounds I could make. But
Yeah, we've been trying to record this for a few weeks, but people kept getting stabbed on the day of or day before recording, so...
Yeah, I did it first. I got my Johnson & Johnson vaccine right before they stopped doing them. And, vaccines have never, fucked me up. All the other ones I've gotten that have been I went in for my tetanus booster, and then I was groggy the whole day. I've been fine. I have a really good immune system in general. And so, even when, there was some bug going around, and Scarlet got it, Summer got it, Storm got it, and I didn't get it. And I'm literally surrounded by them, and my toddlers don't understand personal space. I should have got it, and I didn't. So I'm I will be fine. And I was not fine. We got as far as sitting down and making the Zencaster, getting ready to record. And I was like, oh, well, my stomach is a little nauseous. Let me just eat something real quick. And that was a mistake. And I nearly barfed it back up and had to go and cancel recording at the last second.
That's almost exactly... I could feel... If I were in a cartoon, I would have been melting. Actually just melting.
Mm-hmm.
Halfway through the meal afterwards. Because I remember, they tell you, be sure to drink water, get something in your system, and then take a nap if you need to, etc., etc. And I'm like halfway through the meal, and I'm having a slow motion, oh no, this isn't what I should be doing.
Yeah. All this is to say that 8 hours of being sick, including even going to the hospital, is way better than dying of COVID. So all of you should go out and get your vaccine, even if the only one available is the Johnson & Johnson.
Which it's not available.
Which it's not available. I'm sure it will come back. This kind of seems too important to not get it back out
absolutely.
there. But who knows?
Get your vaccines, kids.
But yeah, he should.
Just all of them in general. That's just generally good advice.
If you feel kind of itchy, tell them.
Itchy is bad. Tell them if you feel itchy.
When I got my first Moderna shot, it was a drive-through thing. So they were like, okay, drive into this line and wait there, honk your horn if you feel bad. And some twisted part of my brain was like, I really want to honk my horn. I want to get to honk my horn. I don't want to feel bad, but I want to get to honk my horn.
I mean,
it's the simple pleasures.
In an abstract, you can always honk your horn because look at the world we live in.
I mean, I've accidentally honked my horn before. I could just accidentally do it again.
Yeah, so we pull through and they're like, all right, everybody has to hang out for 15 minutes. And so they were like lining the cars up as they came. And then the group in front of us left. It had been there 15 minutes. And then a lot of people were like, it's been like 11 minutes and I feel fine. And so like so many people did the like casually creeping forward. Okay, they're not going to actually stop me, so I'm just going to leave sort of thing. It was the funniest.
That's against the rules.
Yeah. I ended up leaving at like 13 minutes because literally my entire row was gone. And I'm like, I don't want to take up space that like the next group could use. Like they can't use my row until all of the row is empty. So I guess I'll leave, though it's only been 12 minutes.
See, like when I went in, it was the weirdest because it's small town, right? Everybody knows everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And like half of them are older people who have been taking it seriously. So that it can only have been described as cacophonous. I've walked into crowded bars quieter because you have people sitting, 6 feet away from each other, turning around and having conversations to other older people who also can't hear very well 6 feet from them. So it's just a shouting match, but an amiable one.
Yeah. At least it's all nice shouting. Speaking of nice shouting, let's talk about this game.
Oh, and I guess they'd also be shouting through a mask.
Oh.
Yeah.
So shouting even louder. Anyway, yes, let's talk about this game.
Yeah. I have no idea what songs I'm going to pick this week because I have already forgotten all of the ones that I do. But I guarantee it'll probably be some walking around track and one of the city tracks because we get new city tracks every week. Anywho, let's do that right now. So, right after we load our save, we are greeted with a mysterious voice reporting on the goings-on in Liberl to someone on a cell phone. That man is Olivier on the deck of an airship, and he says that he wasn't able to meet, quote, him, and that the connection to the Sky Bandits is still unknown, but it seems like, quote, another force must be at work here. He asks the person on the other end to look into it and hangs up.
I was very amused because I was reminded of like the dramatic phone calls at the end of a Metal Gear Solid game that are always like, and blah, 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 blah. Mr. President. Anyway, go on. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, it's good. It's exactly what it was. So Shara comes from around the corner and she confronts Olivier. Who are you and what are you doing in Libero? He is an operative for the Erebonian Empire, but he's not there to sabotage or spy. He just came to meet Cassius, the, quote, Grand Chevalier. Title card, Chapter 2, Madrigal of the White Magnolia. So this is like the second time that it's happened in this game, but I love it so much where Estelle and Joshua are the main characters, but they're not the protagonist of the story that's going on. There's like Game of Thronesy machinations and JRPG plots and all this other crap going on. And we're going to go around and we're going to save kittens from trees. And that's just going to be our gameplay. Some other game would have had us be like Olivier doing the infiltration and all of that stuff. But no, that's not the game we're playing. We're playing the harmonica game. And it's good. I love it. Oh, well, that was off the cuff, and my next note was something exactly like that. It's funny because I wrote these notes 2 weeks ago, and I have no idea what they say. So, back with Joshua and Estelle, they decide to head to Rouen, and they're like, airplanes are working now. You want to take the airplane? And they were like, no. It's like Cassius said, you want to walk on foot so you can know intimately like all of the places that you're going to be saving as a bracer. And they're like, good idea. So we start walking. We get to we get to the Crone Gate and it's dark. So we stay the night. And during the night, Joshua says that Liberal is probably the only place you're going to find nice soldiers. And I was like, oh, this is a fantasy game. Then another guest shows up there. His name is Agate. He is a dickhole. He says that we are brats and we're not going to make it to be bracers, and says that we only won with the Sky Bandits because Shara was there to help us. He says that he's on a job that was given by Cassius, but he will not expound on that. As we try to go to sleep, a pack of wolves attack the guards outside, so we help Agate kill some, and he's a teensy bit more impressed by us, but by the time we wake up, he's already gone. The guard mentions that because of the orbital lights outside, monsters don't often come, and definitely not in huge numbers, so something's sus with that. Then we head on to the Rouen region, which is gorgeous. It is facing the ocean, not just the lake. So it has beaches and cliffside beaches, and it's real big and real pretty. And I really love the outsidiness of this game. Mm-hmm. So we make our way to Magnolia, which is a small seaside village. We're super hungry, so we get a lunch from the White Magnolia restaurant and go to eat it at the Windmill. As we go to leave, we run into a girl in a Genus uniform. No, not that one. Who was looking for someone. She was looking for a little boy in a cap. Asks us if we've seen him, and we're like, no, not at all. And as she leaves, Joshua stares after her. So Estelle picks on him for liking her, but he's like, no. I think I recognize her. And I will not expound on that. So
no. I'm just being a mysterious asshole.
Yep, that's all he does. So they climb up the windmill and they eat their lunch. It's adorable. On Vita, you get a CG cut-in of her feeding Joshua food or whatever, or him feeding her. I forget, but it's adorable.
I think they do both, but she does it badly because she's Estelle, and Joshua is taken aback.
Yeah. But it's a weekly reminder that they're not actually related.
Yes. And this CG right here on the evolution version is basically my biggest reason why I say that you should play the evolution version. Like the 100% voice acted is great. Don't get me wrong. I love it. But this CG is just great. But there's a whole lot of them this chapter. I'll drop some good ones in the chat in a little bit. So on top of the windmill, they see a falcon fly by, and they're like, "That's fucking cool. Love falcons." And they go to leave and find the boy in the cap. But of course, he's a JRPG boy in a cap, so he pickpockets us and runs away.
He's wearing the type of cap that they should have known he was going to pickpocket them.
You should have known. In my headcanon, this little boy, his name is Clem, by the way. Clem and Dan from Xenogears are the same person. Just it's like, you know how Faye has like 10,000 selves in that game. This is Dan's other self. So he takes our bracer of emblems. So we try to find him, and the locals say that he's from the nearby orphanage. So we go over to the orphanage, and it's always an orphan.
Always an orphan.
He's in a JRPG. You can't have both parents in a JRPG. You have to at least lose one. So we get back to the orphanage, and there is a great sprite choreography scene of Estelle chasing Clem, and she finally catches him and tries to take it back, but then the falcon from earlier attacks us. It turns out that the falcon is Chloe's, and she's that girl that we met earlier. We explain that he stole our stuff, and Matron Teresa, Matron Teresa, the kindly woman who takes care of everybody, Mother Teresa, comes out to see what's going on and apologizes for Clem. What were you about to say?
I was just
Matt.
It keeps going. The tropes keep going.
Yeah, they don't stop.
It's so good.
It really is. So Mother Teresa invites us in for tea, and we get Chloe's proper introduction. She stays at the academy nearby, and she comes to help the kids, and I love her.
I love her too.
She's so great. So she says that she has some errands to run in Rouen and asks if she can show us around the city. So we make our way to Rouen, and Chloe does not join the party. She is a guest character at this point, which I thought was cool. Normally games they'll be like, they'll either be a guest character where they're a full ass party member and do full ass party member things, or they'll travel with you and not actually be in the battle at all. But no, it's like an escort mission for Chloe at this part, which is spoiler. She joins the party later, so it's pretty cool.
There have been other instances of battles where there's been characters that you have to protect, like when you're in the tower and Luke and the other kid are there. You have to protect them, and I've really enjoyed that. And Chloe's basically the same way, except she will sometimes cast a healing spell on you. So I was doing things like, she started to cast a healing spell. If I can drag out this battle long enough that she'll be able to get that heal spell off, I'll get a free heal. I was taking advantage of her.
How dare you? She's my girlfriend. How could you do that to her? So we make our way over to the Rouen city, which is gorgeous. It's built onto the water like Venice and shit. There's canals everywhere, and the town is divided in two horizontally by a big orbital drawbridge, but it's also divided into vertically. Like there's a bottom level that goes around the entire city. Basically, it's so good. It's a great town.
It's easy to get lost in if you're bad at navigating these sorts of environments.
It is even easy to get lost in there if you don't turn your map into a compass. Like I was talking up a storm a couple weeks ago. Like, oh, it's so easy. You won't get lost because you'll know where north is. I pressed, I think it's either start or select. I think select is the map, and so it's start brings up permanent like this way to such and such crossing for like the next map. It like names the next map and they stay on your screen. I had to have that to get around the city. Other than that, it's gorgeous though. So we make our way over to the guild as is tradition, and Jean, the guild master, is in a meeting, so we are greeted instead by Karna, another bracer, who is hot.
I love her.
I love her. Since Jean isn't there, we can't change our guild affiliation yet, so we go to spend some time with Chloe to kill time till he's back. When we cross the bridge, Chloe tells us that the bridge was built during the Orbo Revolution and is raised 3 times a day to let ships through to Gransel, the capital, which is on the lake. Like this is the river here connects the lake to the ocean. And so we keep walking and we go to the warehouse district and we're almost mugged. And then the muggers are stopped by the mayor's steward, Gilbert, and shortly after, the mayor himself, Dalmore.
You're visiting a new city that has lots of touristy stuff. You go to the warehouse district.
Yeah. It's a great thing to tour when you're like, oh, you got to come see the city. It's great. Here's our really big bridge, and then here's where we store all of our stuff until it can get shipped.
And where you can get mugged.
Wow, look at that building.
Yep.
That's a big building.
So,
it's big and it's box shaped.
Yep. Dalmore says that he'll call the bracers, and we're like, hey, we're already here. So the muggers get spooked and run away. Dalmore introduces himself to us and mentions some trouble that the city has been having lately, and that Jean at the guild can fill us in. We now head back to the guild and meet Jean. He recognizes Chloe, who apparently comes in for requests fairly often. We change our affiliation to the Ruan district, and Jean says that they've been so busy lately that there's tons of work for us. That is true. This chapter has the most side quests in the entire game by a landslide. He says that a royal family member is coming to visit, and so there have been lots and lots of preparations. Security is super tight, and the muggers that we ran into earlier are part of a group called the Ravens, who are always up to no good. But it's getting late, so we decide to find a hotel to stay in. We go to the big fancy hotel there, and the penthouse had a cancellation, so we get to stay in this big-ass room at a super discounted rate, and we're super stoked on it. Chloe heads back to school, and on her way out, she invites us to the school festival the next week, and we say, of course, we'll be there. We go up to our room to check it out, and it is goddamn humongous. But before we can even unpack, a extremely ugly man in a bowl cut comes in, and he demands the room from us. He is Duke Dunan, the Queen's nephew, and he is a spoiled asshat, and I hate him. We end up giving him the room just to not have to deal with his shit, and we instead crash with Niall, who has a room on the bottom floor. Inside his room, we chat about the paper and how everyone is eating it up because of the focus on Richard, who is super popular and is going to get a medal from the Queen soon. Niall says that he's on vacation, but we pry out of him that he is indeed working on a new story, but it's so big he won't even tell us what it is. Niall takes Estelle and Joshua out for dinner, he gets plastered, and they turn in for the night. That night, someone sets fire to the orphanage. So the next morning, Estelle and Joshua go to check in at the guild. The phone rings, telling them that the orphanage was set on fire. So we head over there.
I think it's important to note that we see the orphanage start to be on fire, and we see Matron Teresa rouse the children and try to escape, but then beams fall in front of them, and they're trapped, and there's no way out.
Yes. We head over to the orphanage right away. It got super duper wrecked, but somehow Teresa and the orphans are all okay. They're staying at the Magnolia Inn while their orphanage is wrecked. So we investigate the scene to find any signs of foul play, and oh boy, we find a lot of signs about foul play. The door was torn off of the hinge before the fire even started, and a lot of stuff away from the house has been scattered about, and the focal point of the blaze is outside of the building. So someone was after something and started the fire as a distraction. So while we're looking around, Chloe shows up. She joins with us to try and find the culprits. We make our way down to Magnolia, where the matron and the kids are. And we tell her that the fire was set deliberately. She says that she expected as much. We ask who could do this, and she says that someone happened to be coming. She says she doesn't know, but that someone happened to be coming by and saved them from the fire. And we were like, who the fuck would come to an orphanage at 3 o'clock in the morning, conveniently right after the fire was set? So that's pretty suspicious. And Joshua's like, oh, you said he has white hair? Nah, it wasn't him. And we're like, why are you so mysterious and not telling us anything? And I feel if we had any other protagonist besides Estelle, we probably would have known some things. But she always like doesn't care about the mystery. Joshua will be like, I don't know, I haven't seen him since it happened. And she's like, whatever. Do you want to go get some food?
And I honestly, I think that's kind of understandable because they've like spent the last 6 years, very formative years, growing up together, being with each other all the time. She's used to this.
Right?
She knows she's not getting anything out of him.
Exactly. While we're talking, Mayor Delmore shows up, and he apologizes that it's his responsibility for the entire ruin of Rouen, so he'll get to the bottom of it. His aide Gilbert asks if it might be the Ravens who did it. The mayor scolds him for having such wild conjecture, and then asks Teresa what she's going to do. She says that she doesn't know because rebuilding the orphanage would be super expensive. He offers her his family estate over in Gransel, which is on the other side of the lake. It's a long ways away. It is 2 chapters from now. And she's like, I don't know. I'll think about it. The mayor leaves, and Teresa and Chloe are like, but it's not just a building, it's memories. Like, Teresa lived there with her husband, started the orphanage, been there for forever. You can't, like, it means a lot more than just a plot of land. And so they're leaning towards not accepting the bribe. So we go outside to talk with Chloe, and then one of the kids comes up and says that Clem is missing. He apparently overheard Gilbert accusing the Ravens, and he ran off to Rouen to get them. So we give chase. When we get back to Rouen, we see Clem cross the drawbridge right as it raises. We don't have 30 minutes to waste, so we borrow Chekhov's boat from the hotel and head over to the south side. We make our way to the hideout, and Clem is chewing out the Ravens, and they have no idea what he's talking about. They start to roughhouse him because they're up to no good, but Chloe comes to his rescue. She apparently can sword. So we fight the Ravens, and they are not hard.
It's great. She's like, I hate to do this. I must never draw this sword.
And I'm like, oh my God, it's happening.
I love that scene.
It's so good. Love that stupid trope. It gets me every goddamn time.
It's not really that trope. She's just like, I hate fighting, but, you know, y'all are roughing up this little kid I'm fond of, so I've been trained to sword.
Mm-hmm. Future Sam is stroking his chin and saying, right now. Anywho, so, we fight the Ravens, and they are not hard. So after the fight, they say that this isn't over yet, but then Agate shows up. Apparently, he used to run the Ravens, and he's pissed at them for turning to crime and shit. He punches one of them clear across the room. It's awesome. Like, the sprite flies across and up. It's like not just he knocked him backwards. He like, if the wall wasn't there, this man would have like just flown to the moon.
Continued indefinitely.
He's like the skateboard in Homestuck. He just keeps going.
Unreal air he's getting.
So Mother Teresa shows up, and she tells Clem that him getting killed won't reverse the arson, and that the most important thing is that everyone is safe. So she takes Clem back home and tells Chloe to focus on the school play at the festival because the kids are very excited. So we go back to the guild, and Agate announces that he's taking over the arson case because we are way too close to it and our judgment isn't sound. And he yells at us for getting a civilian involved in everything, and knowing glances are shared by many.
And I gotta say, I love how Estelle's like, God damn it, fair points.
Just like,
I can't argue with this.
She's like, it's true. He speaks very much truth, so let's go play pretend instead. We're pissed at Agate for being so hurtful, but Jean says that Agate is just hurt and pissed because of an earlier case of his. He was pursuing someone, and I can't go into it right now. So now we have no case, but Chloe has an idea. Since the bracers are part of security for the school festival, what if we help her with the play? There are rules that are not filled, so she needs 2 warm bodies. And our bodies, in fact, are warm. Joshua asks about what parts we'll be playing, and Chloe's like, I can't tell you, it's too embarrassing. And he's like, what the fuck? But Estelle's like, look, let's just do it for the kids. Whatever it is, I'm sure it's fine. And we head off to the school. First, we go in to meet the dean, and he tells us that the student council president, Jill, is in charge of the school play, so we should go talk to her. She informs us that this play, The Madrigal of the White Magnolia, is going to be gender bent. So Estelle and Chloe will play the knights, and Joshua will play the princess. So the next 2 hours of game owns. It's so good, and it's the reason I recommend this game to people. It's so nice and great, and none of it is goddamn important. So I will be skipping over most of it. There will be a lot in our memorable moments, and I'll just excise the juicy plot bits. So during rehearsal, Chloe mentions that she was raised by a rich relative because her parents died in the 100 Days War, but that relative fled during the war, so she basically was raised by Teresa and her husband. And on the day of the festival, we run into Professor Alba, who was there to look at the research that the social studies group was doing on the Saffarol Tower. Matron Teresa shows up and says that she's going to accept the mayor's offer and move to Gransel. She changed her mind. So Joshua at one point leaves the group to go and find the silver-haired bracer who saved the kids because he was seen on campus. We find him in the old schoolhouse on the edge of campus and bring him back. He couldn't find the silver-haired guy. The play owns. It has 8 unique music tracks, 34 unique portraits for all of the characters, 2 extensive sprite-based fight scenes, and instead of in most RPGs, like say the opera in Final Fantasy VI, the rock opera in Chrono Cross, or anything like that, it's usually in those one scene that's supposed to sum up we're just gonna pop in and he's going to sing to Maria real quick, and that's all we're going to see of the thing. This shows us the whole play with filling us in on the middle bits with the narrator and shit. It's basically we get to see the whole play. It's real good.
Presumably there's a lot that we don't see, but we get the entire plot.
Yeah.
And it's long.
It's so good. And they do a thing that's brilliant. Instead of just the way they can get around not showing us the whole thing is it'll cut away to characters that we know out in the audience, and they'll be reacting, be like, oh my God, this play is so good. Cut back, and we're several scenes later. And it's so good. I really, really like it. At the final curtain, we see that the silver-haired man was watching the play, but he leaves before it's finally over. And I don't remember on the PC version, but on the Evolution version, you get a big, fancy close-up of him. And his... I don't even think the PC version does this, but the first time you meet somebody, you get their character portrait, but it's the whole screen, like a visual novel style instead of just their head. And You got that for this boy.
All we get in the PC version is we see he has a portrait as he says something like, heh.
Interesting. Or whatever. In the play, Joshua and Chloe have to kiss, and Estelle doesn't take it very well. And as we're all hanging out afterwards, before the matron can leave, Jill and the dean reveal that they had a collection plate going around at the festival, and they raised enough money for Teresa to rebuild the orphanage. So they give it to her in a big fat ass envelope, and she and the kids head back to Magnolia, but on the way they are attacked. The kids are all safe, but Teresa is knocked out, and they tell us that it was some dudes in black masks.
Notably, the bracer we met earlier, what's her name? The hot one?
Karna. She was also knocked out.
Yeah, Karna was accompanying them because they were like, are they gonna go all this way carrying a million Mira? But no, it's like Karna's going to go with them, and they'll be fine, but they're not fine.
They're not fine. And they say that it was some dudes in black masks, and we're like, oh shit, we saw some dudes in black masks last chapter. I wonder if it's related.
That couldn't be the standard thing for people robbing people to wear. It has to be what the people we saw.
Yeah, turns out they're right, but it's really, it was luck. It was not an actual clue. So Agate shows up, and he promises to help us track them down, and he joins the party for a bit. We end up at the lighthouse where the Raven gang is hanging out, but they're like strung out on drugs and non-responsive and are now suddenly super strong. We beat the shit out of a lot of them, like 5 floors worth of a lot of them, and make it up to the top of the tower. There, Gilbert and the men in black masks, the ones from last week, of course, are conspiring. Turns out that the mayor is behind everything. He wants to burn the orphanage to build Cuscotopia. We fight the men in black masks and kick their butts. They are hard. We eventually kick their butts, and they threaten to kill Gilbert, and we are too good to just let them do it. So they get to run off, and Agate gives chase. Meanwhile, we go to give the money back to Teresa and report to the guild. At the guild, Jean tells us that the bracers have to stay neutral, and right now we only have evidence for Gilbert and not the mayor, so we have to catch the mayor in the act before we can't just walk up and arrest the mayor. We need a more solid case that the mayor is actually in on it. So we rely on a loophole where the mayor told us earlier, well, if you ever need anything, just drop right on by. And so we drop by unannounced on the mayor, and we indeed catch him red-handed admitting to wanting to build Cuscotopia. And for motive, Niall comes in, and the story that he was working on was the mayor had massive debts because he was squandering city money, and so he's building Cuscotopia so that rich people will come, rent it out, and he'll make money and can pay the city back from all of the money he's been squandering. He's super caught, so he 6 monsters on us, and we fight them.
They're hard.
Yeah. It wasn't super hard for me, but I'm on. I'm both on easy, and I have all the DLC stuff, so I'm like wiping the floor with things, which is great because I've already played this game and I want it to be easy.
It absolutely took me 2 tries because it turns out when you kill one, they give a temporary but lengthy, huge buff to the other. So, yeah, I didn't realize that would happen. So I got pretty good.
Yeah,
it took me 2 or 3 tries.
I seem to recall the first 2 times I played through this. It was the first instance where the game said, hey, do you want to make this easier so you can move on?
Yeah. I missed that about the PC version from the Evolution version, so I don't plan on playing the second one on easy. This game is too much of a walk in the park for it to be new content that I'm exploring. But and so I'm afraid that I'm going to get to something like this and just have to try harder because I'm saved in a bad spot and just have to get real good. After the fight, we try to arrest the mayor, but he pulls out an artifact that stops time, and he tries to escape. But the black orbment that we have reacts back and destroys the artifact and lets us move again, so we do arrest him. But when we go to arrest him, he, of course, gets away on a boat, so we give chase on Chekhov's boat. He's getting away, but a huge airship comes in and blocks his path.
Oh, you didn't mention Chekhov's carrier pigeon that sets up this airship appearing.
I didn't catch Chekhov's carrier pigeon. I just caught later when we talk about it. But yeah.
Oh yeah, we see Chloe hears about everything that they're not going to be able to catch the mayor and stuff because the bracers are politically neutral, or attempt to be at least. Mm. And so we see her later putting a note on, I forget if it's her special falcon that she's friends with or if it's just a regular bird. It's probably her special falcon. Yeah. Puts a note on it, sends it off to we don't know where. Mm-hmm. But then this airship appears and we put the dots together.
Yes. The huge airship is, of course, I didn't write it down here, but it's the
Royal Guard.
Yeah, it's
the Secret Service.
It's the big ass ship that was in Liberal News a couple weeks ago. The super fast one. It's important that it's super fast because, well, we'll get to. So, the airship comes and blocks his path. It's the Royal Guard and not the army. And we're like, oh, Jean said he was going to call the army. That's weird. The Royal Guard arrests the mayor, and his memory is suddenly gone, just like Dawn's was before. And no one asks questions about it because Estelle is hungry. She's not actually, but we don't get to learn about mysteries in this game until we learn about all of them really fast. We assume that Jean had called the guard, but then Richard shows up saying that he came as soon as he got the call from Jean, but the guard was already here resolving things. He pointedly gives Chloe a side eye, then he thanks us and leaves. Back at the guild, we're told that Agate gave chase to the men in black, but they escaped towards Zeiss. We also learn that Cassius is the one who pulled Agate out of a life of crime back in the day. Cassius is Superman, and he has done everything for everyone in this country. Jean gives us our guild recommendation, and he tells us that we should go to Zeiss to get info on the Black Orbment, and we decide to do just that, and the chapter ends. There's a lot of extra shit, and it's actually good instead of just walk around and pick up 5 flowers this time. So let's dive right into that. Let's listen to some song and talk about the extra shit this week. Okay, so we get 2 new issues of the Liberal News this week. The first one basically just fills in what Richard and Morgan's plan was, and it, of course, downplays our involvement in the events. It also says that the Capwas are now imprisoned at Leiston Fortress, which is a place name that will come up later. And it also says that Duke Dunan is bound for a visit to Ruan, and we get the issue in Minoria Village before we even get to Ruan, which I think is pretty cool. There's also a fluff piece about the epic dine and dash of Olivier, which is cute. The next issue is a long interview with Richard where he basically just how it talks about how the orbital revolution brought on an information age, so they needed an intelligence division of the army because people were making clandestine phone calls now. There also is a new chapter of Carnelia, but I didn't have time to read it. And that was at the time I wrote my notes, which were over a week ago. And then I forgot that I didn't actually write about it. So I'll include it next time. So if you remember, last week we found a little black book tucked away in a vacuum cleaner, tucked away in a corner of the big ass dungeon we were in. So if we take that to the Hawken Gate, which is the opposite direction of where we're supposed to be going at the beginning of this chapter, we can take it to, we can find Nigel, who was this NPC that was like talking shifty, like he was like, oh, because he was one of the people being questioned when the robbers came and robbed the Orbital factory, and he was being sus as fuck. Turns out that he had been laundering money through the Orbital factory. He's getting questioned, but they don't have any proof. That little black book, it was his accountant book for all of his bad stuff, and so we found it. We give it to the soldiers. We get paid shitloads of money.
We're snitches.
We're snitches. On the way into Ruan, there is the lighthouse that was important at the end of it. If you go there early, there's Vogt, the VOGT, the lighthouse manager. I love him. He needs the lighthouse cleared because of the monsters that have moved in, and he's obsessed with manners and caring, and he thinks that all bracers should be like this young, dashing bracer he met 7 years ago, who, now that you mention it, has Estelle's same hair and eyes. He tells Estelle and Joshua to try harder to be more like them, and the kids think that they'll do just that. Go ahead.
When they're threatening to kill Gilbert, this guy you're talking about now, who I didn't meet beforehand, is knocked out in the same room, and they also threaten to kill him. So, there's more than just the shithead might die. Yeah. Sorry.
No, I just forgotten that too. So, So the next side quest is another fishing side quest. Some dude lost the key to his warehouse. We fish it to get out. No big deal. This is just part of a longer, much more cool and interesting side quest chain. So we go to Gilbert, and he has a request about the Sapphire Glim, which is a real fancy candelabra, and it had been stolen recently. And not by petty thieves, but by a phantom thief. And the calling card says, "That which nests here is a beast more dire than any other. Continue to give praise to the spirit whose blue light was lost in the darkness. Free the spark it left behind, and I will be free. Ah, seeker, the eyes of Idios see only the truth and pass it on to you. Look to the three-eyed giant which towers over the settlement. Do so, and the blue light will be revealed." Gilbert just wants us to check out the card, but not do any investigating inside of the room, which is sus. Turns out it's because he's the bad guy, and he doesn't want us to find that out. But,
the Phantom Thief should have stolen Mayor Dalmore's heart instead.
Should have. Maybe he did. Remember, he lost all of his memory and started acting different at the end.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, he would have remembered his crimes and confessed them if the Phantom Thief had stolen his heart. But maybe the Phantom Thief and the mysterious other party in the Black Mask got to him.
Maybe so.
Oh, but then he would be dead.
Yes.
Yeah.
Vague spoilers for Persona 5, I guess.
If we wouldn't have said the name of the game, they wouldn't have been spoilers.
What other game involves phantom thieves stealing hearts?
I'm sure there's a loop on the third video game of some sort.
Probably a lot of them. Now I want to know, but I can't look it
up. Yeah, your computer will explode if you do two things on the internet at one time. So we go to try and find the solution, and it's the lighthouse in town, which has 3 lights on it that you cannot see from any angle available in game. So you look up online how to solve the side quest. At the lighthouse, there's another card that says, "Look to the endless waltz which unfolds between the red and black," meaning, of course, the roulette table and the casino, which I'm sure that you found in its unmarked building somewhere in Rouen. There's another card, "Rest at the land harbor and look to the one-eyed lion," meaning, of course, the motorcycle that's set dressing at the landing port. There's another card that says, "Look to the barrels near the steel crane." When we get to the crane, the barrels are missing, but that's because of the fishing side quest. We got him the key to the warehouse, and he moved the barrels. So he calls his dockhand, who brings the barrel out for us, and the barrel says, "Hey, sorry, the barrel was totally moved, but look inside the barrel." But the ink on the card is still super wet, and at that exact moment, the deckhand comes up from the opposite direction and asks us what we're doing here. So the thief was posing as the deckhand and had just like stashed the candelabra in the barrel because he was going to get caught. So the candelabra is, of course, inside the barrel. So the thief gets away, but we return the item to Gilbert. The mayor asks us to end our investigation because the candelabra was important, but and not catching the thief. Interesting. Another small but fun side quest where someone asks for pirate treasure and you actually can find it. The world map, air quotes, section is, like I said, is on the cliffside beaches. There, it's really cool. There's one where the shallow water goes out for way longer than it possibly should, and you can find a little sandbar there, and you find the pirate treasure. They're swords for Joshua that are really good for this chapter and get replaced at the end of the chapter. You can go up to Air Lytton, which is an ancient aqueduct that serves as the border between Rouen and Zeiss. There's an unruly guest causing trouble for the other people there, and of course it is Duke Doonan, who apparently wasn't content with just taking our room, but he also wants everyone's room at Air Lytton. He doesn't want a room there, he wants the whole thing to be his suite. So Joshua handles the crowd outside because they're getting unruly. So Estelle has to go in and be diplomatic and talk to the Duke. And it's a demon negotiation type thing from Persona. And so you have to pick the right text options. If you fail, Estelle tries to be fancy and the Duke doesn't listen. And he just tries to move his hotel room stuff all the way to the border. So she cuts the crap and chews him out in true Estelle fashion, and she calls him a jackass, and it owns. She starts to beat the shit out of him, but Chloe stops her, and then Joshua comes in, calms the situation down, and sends him off to Rouen. If you win, you convince him that there's a dinner party that he's missing and that the place is roach infested, so he gets squicked out and leaves.
If this were really like a Shin Megami Tensei demon negotiation, you'd give him 150 Mira, you'd give him a tear balm, you'd give him 250 Mira, you'd give him another tear balm, you'd give him 150 Mira, you'd give him tear balm, and then he would leave.
Yep. There is another side quest for the Saffron Tower, but it's just looting the place since Alba is at the festival this time around. There is a side quest to retrieve a prototype orbital gun, and we do so. Then there is another side quest to bring Vogt a huge-ass maintenance kit so he can fix the light that was broken. It's why we had to fight monsters earlier. You can also optionally take him his favorite cocktail and food from the bar in town, which makes it a real cute scene. And then finally, there is a side quest where you're tasked to take care of this girl's uncle who went off to find rare plants. Turns out that it's the guy from the plant side quest in the prologue. Some real full circle type shit.
My brain immediately went to Chrono Cross, and I was half expecting you to say, "Turns out he turned into a mushroom."
Yes, he was a fun guy. Then there are a whole bunch of side quests to set up for the festival, and not a single one of them is interesting.
Just like real setting up stuff for a school event.
Yes. So let's listen to one final track, and then we'll talk about our memorable moments, of which I have 2 pages of.
Damn. These CGs you're putting in the chat are great.
They're so good. This chapter is the reason why you should play this the Vita version of this game, because they are great. So yeah, my go ahead.
I was gonna. We could talk about it after. It's good.
Okay. So my first mom are all of the CGs in this chapter that I alluded to earlier. I just dropped them in our host chat, and everyone agrees that they are spectacular. Every single one is great. So we get one when they're eating food together. We get one when you meet Chloe and you knock her down and she sits like an anime girl on the floor. You get one where you're riding in Chekhov's boat. And you get one at the play, when the ending of the play, of course, the princess sacrifices herself because she doesn't want her 2 loves to fight each other. And so you get a good close-up of Joshua in a dress. And
he's killing it. He is killing that dress.
You never actually mentioned that the play is gender swapped.
Yeah,
I did.
You did?
Yeah.
I could have sworn you didn't mention. You mentioned that Chloe said it would be embarrassing to say what the costumes were or whatever, but then you never expanded on that. I'm sorry. Maybe I was distracted.
Yeah, it's okay. One more, because I have several, and I'll let you guys go. But this one is about Vote from the Lighthouse, so I know that you guys don't have it. But you go upstairs and you kill all the monsters, and you come down and you tell him, and he says, "Oh my, that's splendid news. I can put my mind at ease. Thank you for all your hard work. And don't forget, as you flex your bracer muscles in the future, to flex hardest the strongest muscle of them all, the caring muscle."
So good.
I love him. He's so good. What do you guys got?
My favorite memorable moment this week is how the redheaded bracer's name is Agate, not Agate. It's definitely Agate.
Because that's...
I don't know. Mine's voice acted. I'm pretty certain it's Agate.
I'm pretty sure the voice acting got it wrong.
No, listen. It's wrong.
So my problem is I'm really bad at writing down memorable moments. So usually I just play the game the day before and the day of recording. That didn't work out so well this time. But a few memorable moments are, one, just the fact that for some reason when Joshua and Estelle are being in the play, they also have to go to class at the school. Which is hilarious.
Makes no sense.
And they're staying in the dorms. So Estelle is staying with Chloe and her roommate, whose room, for some reason, has 3 beds. Mm-hmm. That's very convenient.
Yeah.
That, for some reason, this 2-person room has 3 beds. Anyway, There's this really cute scene where Chloe wakes up in the morning, and she goes to wake up Estelle, and Estelle, we see a thing pop up above her head, and she sits up and looks around, and then Chloe walks over to wake up her roommate, and then Estelle goes back to sleep, and Chloe, a angry thing appears above her head. It's very cute.
It's so good.
This game does great stuff with its very simple sprite animations, doing cute scenes like that. I'll let you know if I remember any more.
All right, what about you, Matt?
As we've established, I'm a basic weeb. I love that there's a culture festival in this game at all, because they jam it in just the dumbest things ever. And your adventure fantasy game also having a culture festival is just the greatest thing.
It's so good. Yeah, I love all of the the courtyard outside is filled with a bunch of classes doing shops, because that's a common thing at culture festivals. And then inside, all of the different classrooms are like, oh, the social studies one has one, the science group has one. The science one I love the most because they basically built robot astrology, where you put in all of your details and the robot tells you if you're a good match or not. And the only ones that are a perfect match are Niall and Olivier, and I'll take it. It's a weird ship, but it's canon, so
do they ever meet?
I don't know.
Listen, that's never stopped shipping before, and it won't stop it now.
No.
Yeah, my Picard X Pearl from Steven Universe fanfic is coming along nicely.
Oh,
you know what?
Speaking of shipping, an anti-memorable moment for this week.
Mm-hmm.
Dorothy isn't here.
Yeah.
Niall's working solo now, and so we don't get any Dorothy content.
Sad. She's the best.
This is a small, memorable moment. The bridge. I liked the drawbridge. I like drawbridges in general.
It's so nice.
It's just a good design. I think drawbridges are neat in general. And it's just good. It's good. Good architecture.
It's a good one.
Technically, it's a bascule bridge.
I believe you.
Well, Wikipedia, I was looking up to see if I got the term right, and it says a bascule bridge, also referred to as a drawbridge.
Well,
but it's a bascule bridge. I had to look this up for a scene in Dinosaurs in Pakistan. I wanted to describe one of those bridges, so I looked up what it was called, and it's called a bascule bridge.
So is a bascule bridge, what delineates it from a bascule bridge and a drawbridge?
I think a bascule bridge is the one that like lifts up and in the middle.
Okay.
Yeah.
It lifts up two sides in the middle. I think a drawbridge would technically... Well, a bascule bridge could also be called a drawbridge, but when I think drawbridge, I think of it lifting up from the whole thing lifting up from one side.
Oh.
Yeah, like over a moat type thing.
Today I learned a thing.
Yeah.
That doesn't matter because a bascule bridge can be called a drawbridge, and everybody will know what you mean.
If we can't learn inane, pointless facts, we aren't learning anything.
It's true. So another one that I have is when you first get to the border crossing and you're staying the night. They're like, "Oh, hey, how can we help you?" And then the narrator pops in and says, "Joshua explained the situation and asked if they could stay the night. Estelle tried to make her eyes as large and yearning as she could in the hopes of scoring some free food as well." And then more good Estelle narration is when you meet the Ravens for the first time and they're like, "Oh, we're going to kick your ass." Estelle is like, "Man, you mean you still haven't noticed the badges? Maybe you guys need glasses or something." And the narrator says, "With great deliberation and exaggerated movements, Estelle pointed out the bracer emblem on her chest. She then raised her eyebrows for further emphasis."
She's so good.
Do you have any more?
I'm just appreciating these pictures. The third one of them in the boat, Estelle holding,
is so good.
Holding her stick so menacingly, like she's gonna do something with it from a moving boat.
Yeah, I forgot. One thing is when you sort of skimmed over this part, which there's a lot to get through, I understand. But when the mayor stops time, he actually pulls out a fucking gun and is going to shoot them all in the head.
Oh, yeah.
And it's intense. But I thought of that because when they're on the boat, the mayor shoots at them from his boat. And it's not just like, oh, they're on two fucking boats. Of course he couldn't hit. No, he was aiming true. But Estelle deflects the bullets with her staff.
Hell yeah.
Like she's a Jedi.
She's badass as fuck.
I'm pretty sure that should get you promoted to senior bracer alone.
Yeah. Maybe that's what Jean was doing. It's like, well, I mean, you didn't do anything. Agate solved the arson case, but I heard you deflected a fucking bullet. Have my recommendation. That's fucking badass.
This is some spoiler stuff for the future, but we'll see some senior bracers, and that's like I can do that half drunk and from bed.
Yeah. So
with how much they built up Cassius, I'll believe he can do it.
Cassius smiles at it and just loses momentum.
The bullets melt. So there's a lot of good treasure chests this week. My favorite one is you're in. I think it's in the Saffron Tower. The chest says, "So, when do you plan on giving me my stuff back?"
Oh goodness.
Then my last couple are all from school. Jill is great. I love her. If this
She's
game were
the student council president, right?
Yeah,
I love her.
She's also Chloe's roommate. It's the same person. But if this were a visual novel taking place at the Genius Academy and you had to pick your girlfriend, Jill would probably be the one that I picked. She is great. But so after she says, "Yeah, we're going to do it gender swapped," Joshua is like the faculty is okay with that and everything, and she goes, "Yeah, I just told them in sexual discrimination, be free of gender roles," and they we're okay with it. I'm just like, oh, that's so good.
All you really need to know about Jill is that she wears big round glasses, and there's a portrait where they're glared over, and she has a wicked smile.
Yeah, she gets Ovan glasses and a wicked smile. She's the best. And so Chloe and Jill are having some sort of friendly roommate banter, and Estelle's sad about it. And Jill says, "You've got a hot guy with you all the time, and you're jealous of us living in an all-girl household. I'm playing a tiny violin for you, minuscule in size." She's just so good.
And it sounds like, hot guy? What?
Joshua, do you know if a hot guy is traveling with us?
It's I
could have sworn Olivier left.
Right? And so then, while Estelle is working through her complicated feelings about Joshua and Chloe going to kiss him, it's so funny because Chloe is like, "Estelle, don't you want to switch parts so you can be the one to kiss Joshua?" And she's like, "No, I wouldn't want to do that. I don't know if I could kiss a guy." And then she's like, "Well, I mean, it would just be Joshua, but wait, are you saying that you don't want to kiss Joshua?" And she goes, "Don't be ridiculous." So it's all this time she's like, "Hey, I'm trying to help you and Joshua get together, but also I want to kiss him too. He's still hot. I'm still going to kiss Joshua." This is a great scene. But that's all I got. Any more come to you, Bernard?
I like this chapter.
It's really, really good. I cannot stress it enough that this is the play that you buy a ticket for when you play this game. It's the cream of the crop. It's so freaking good. But yeah, that will do it for this episode. This series could not happen without the support of our Ko-Fi backers. So thanks to everyone who has been supporting us. Shout outs to who was the one that admitted they'd actually been listening. It was C-Stay. Thanks to C-Stay for actually coming in, checking us out. Makes it worthwhile. If you're listening to this in the after times, you can come over to www.rpgbook.club and get access to these episodes an entire month before everyone else. It is a lot of Patreons will do 1 day early. I've dialed it up to 11, and you get a whole month of exclusive access.
You dialed it up to 28 to 31.
Yeah. Next week, we will be playing Chapter 3, The Black Orbment, and we'll probably take 2 weeks to do it because the plot isn't so long that we should break up the plot into 2 episodes, but there's a lot of side quest content, and so I'm giving myself extra time to do all of that. So if you're on the Ko-Fi, see you in 2 weeks, and with the next episode. For RPG Book Club, that's not this podcast. For Book Club no Kiseki, I am Sam Allman.
I'm David Bernard Houck.
I'm Matt Jorgensen.
Adios, amigos.
When you say you're going to play the music, I start dancing, even though we can't hear the music.
And
I'm just hyper usually at night. Well, if you could see me, I wouldn't be dancing.
Yeah.
I'm dancing like nobody's watching because nobody is watching.
Schrodinger's dance. We know it's happening, but we can't see it.
All right.
Once I'm viewed, I will collapse into the not dancing state.